We from space, we observe the Earth, and first of all we try to understand the processes which happen connected to climate change. In the last assessment report, for example, the space-based data part was already much bigger than in the reports before. For example, we measure sea level rise from space, that it has increased to 3 millimeters per year from 1.7 millimeter in the last century. We can measure greenhouse gases, but also ice extent and ice mass balances, to give some examples.
Okay, so what are you expecting from the COP? Are you expecting from, new financing or some other frames?
No, what I expect is that there's an agreement that we do something with our planet, because we can observe what happens and changes are dramatic, especially in the Arctic region. You can see most of the climate change happening at the moment. And so I hope that a reduction of CO2 is decided, and then we can also plan how to monitor that. Europe is building on an operational monitoring system which will be in space within the next, let's say, 24 months. And then we have also the instruments to observe, for example, deforestation or reforestation. And we can also look into adding another component for CO2 until 2020.
So how can you make your work more efficient? Would you need some, for example, free open data system between all the countries from all over the world in order to make it more efficient?
This is a very important point, that we have open and free data. In North America, in Europe, parts of Africa, this is the case. It is important that also scientists from developing countries have free access to the data, otherwise they could not afford that. But also for science in toto, it's important that everybody can work on the same database. This makes it also more reliable in terms of the outcome.
Okay, a space program, this kind of observation space program must be very expensive. Do you have the fund that you need, and do you need more?
Well, we have always more ideas, or the scientists have more ideas, that money is available. But I have to say that we were treated very well in Europe, because there was a high political interest in supporting Earth observation from space, and by that we could also realize a lot. What I said before, we would wish that we would have another investment in a carbon and a CO2 monitoring system, because this is not existing yet from space.
Okay, the developed country cannot find enough money to help the developing country. Should we spend so much money in an observation space program?
Well, first of all, as I said, we should make the data accessible, and we should help also the scientists in Africa, in Asia, in countries where the science is not yet so far as in our continents, to understand and help to make their own scientific studies. I think if you have a science base in a country, the decision makers in this country will also be much better informed, and they will always trust more their own scientists than scientists from other countries.
Okay, so actually the money that we send to your program of observation is in some ways helping developing countries.
Absolutely, it helps everybody, as our data are freely available for everybody.
Thank you very much for your time, Doctor, and for your answers.